Hello and welcome to the Community Shares of Illinois interview sessions, the podcast where we give our members a chance to talk about their wonderful organizations and the incredible, meaningful work that they're doing. With us today, we have Joshua With and Tim Stone from Arts of Life. How are you today, Joshua and Tim?
Good.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for being on. It's great to have you here.
Mhm.
And just to kind of start things off, I'd like to ask, how long have you been with Arts of Life?
All right.
I've been there since 2010.
Yeah, it's 13 years.
Mhm.
And I started in 2020. So about 3.5 years for
Yep.
me.
All right, great. Yeah, it's great to have people that have that longer experience.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And just in case our listeners or viewers out there aren't familiar, would you like to tell us about the kind of work that Arts of Life does?
Yeah, so Arts of Life is several professional art studios for adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. So we were founded in 2000 by one of our founding artists who had disabilities, as well as two co-directors. And one of those directors is still with us, Denny Fisher. And we started with, I think, about 7 artists in a small studio, kind of in the West Town, Chicago neighborhood. And we've grown. So we've moved once in our West Town location, but we're still in West Town. And we have another studio in Glenview in the North Shore area. Each of those studios has about 30 artists at this point. And we've been recently expanding our programming. So over the last year, we have expanded into kind of what we're calling community-based programming in the northern suburbs. So that has a couple different forms. One is over the pandemic, when we were forced to meet with folks virtually, we realized that, well, most of our artists really love being in the studio. Some like being met in kind of different ways. So we have a handful of artists that we're able to support in their home. We bring them art supplies and work with them there. And we also have a couple of partnerships we've been building, one with the Evanston Art Center and one with the Art Center in Highland Park, where we're leading seasonal courses, some just for artists with disabilities like our studios, and then we're starting to do some integrated for folks with and without disabilities. And we are a fully functional kind of progressive studio. So we represent our artists. We have a gallery where we show their work, and we show their work, kind of outside our own galleries as well.
Mhm.
All right. It's great to hear. Yeah, that's important stuff.
Mhm.
And just as kind of an icebreaker, I like to ask, do you have a favorite part of that mission that you've been doing?
Great question. You want to go first, Tim?
Yeah, I really love being involved with Arts of Life because all the artists and myself could vote on different things. Like I'm on the hiring committee where I could hire new staff, and then also I am on the curator track where that means that I'm part of the gallery where I um, pick different artists and do different art shows that we have at both studios.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So really part of what I love is a lot of what Tim said. I've had the chance to visit a lot of studios kind of similar to ours around the country. And one of the things that I think really attracted me to Arts of Life, and I think sets Arts of Life apart, is how really at the core our artists are involved in everything from, like Tim mentioned, when we have a new artist join or a new staff join, the whole community of artists and staff get to vote on if those, after they've been here for a few months, if they stay as a part of our community. We vote on different things like events coming up, what we want those to look like.
Yeah.
Tim, I've had the pleasure of working with Tim on hiring committees where he's given really, really valuable insight, asking questions and giving us his thoughts when we interview people to make sure that whoever we're bringing in is really that it's somebody who our artists want to be working with.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just really exciting to see the level of ownership I think that the artists have of their workplace here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's great inclusion there. Yeah. And then next, I'll ask, is there anything new that's been going on with Arts of Life that you wanted to discuss and talk about?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned our kind of community-based program. That's been a big expansion over the last year. And kind of over the next year, what we're really looking to do is to start Arts of Life. For a long time has wanted to be working on the west and the south sides of Chicago. And so over the next year, we're currently hiring. Hopefully, by the time this video shows, we will have hired somebody to be coordinating our south side program. So really excited to start to be able to reach more artists on the south side, where there is kind of a lack of programs like ours. And similar to our, our programs in the north suburbs, that program will really be developed and tailored to that neighborhood. So we're not totally sure what that will look like, which is kind of exciting. We're open to maybe that opens in a specific location. Maybe it's moving around to different communities. But that's a really exciting kind of expansion. And then kind of over the last year, and then still coming up, a big exciting thing for Arts of Life is we've been starting to do exhibiting at a lot more international art fairs. So in the last year, we exhibited at 2 different art fairs as part of Art Basel in Miami, Nada Miami, and Untitled Art Fair in Miami. And then we exhibited at the Outsider Art Fair in New York City. And we actually had a couple of artists exhibit in Tokyo this year, which is our first time outside the country. And our most recent art fair was Expo Chicago, which is the largest international art fair in Chicago. And Tim actually was one of our artists there. I don't know if you want to talk about what it was like to be at an international art fair.
It was really nice, and I enjoyed it. I was very excited because that was my first time being in Expo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I sold a couple of pieces there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then also I had I also did a residency in Sheboygan.
Yeah, so Tim that was another exciting thing this last year. So Tim was our very first artist to have an residency outside of our studio and outside of the state in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
It was fun.
And we actually have this ties into both. This was a piece. Tim has a couple artworks that he wanted to share.
Yeah.
So this one. I don't know if you want to talk about this one.
Yeah, this one I made in Sheboygan, and it's with watercolor, a type of watercolor called gouache, and I like it, and I named it Chicago 2022.
Yeah, and this was one of your pieces that was exhibited at Expo Chicago.
Very nice.
And then here's another one that I was working on since October of this year, and I finally finished it today.
Yeah, fresh off the desk.
And it's graphite, and it's called Dark and Stormy.
You want to talk a little bit about how you make these, maybe how that's different from your watercolor?
Yeah, it's very different than watercolor. What I do with that is with a graphite pencil, I keep on going over and over each time until it becomes very thick, and then it becomes smeary. And then I work on it very hard, and it takes a long time, and takes longer than my other pieces that I do.
It's true, yeah. You spend a lot more time on each graphite piece. Yeah.
Wow, that's some excellent work. Yep. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so then this is kind of the part where I shamelessly promote Community Shares. So do you have a favorite part of being a member of Community Shares of Illinois?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to be able to connect with a much broader, community in Illinois. I think Arts of Life, would really love, one of our big goals and why we exist is for more and more people to find out about what our artists are doing, to see their artwork, to see the leadership that they're taking on here. And so to have a group of both other nonprofits as well as employees of various organizations interested in supporting the broader nonprofit community in Chicago. It's really great to be able to make those connections for folks that we otherwise wouldn't be able to meet and just to be able to be more connected in Illinois and get our artists' artwork out to more folks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Those connections are really helpful. And then, so we'll kind of close things out with I'll ask you, as far as donations or volunteering goes, is there anything that you wanted to tell everybody about how that helps out Arts of Life?
Sure. So, yeah, if folks are interested in volunteering, they can certainly reach out. We have a wide variety of what volunteering can look like at Arts of Life. It can just be getting to know the artists, hanging out with them, helping out in the studio. But we also have folks volunteering with documenting artwork, with helping us at events, with helping with our website or graphic design. We're really very flexible and willing to incorporate folks. But donations are really key. So Illinois, for quite a while, has consistently been in the bottom 5 in the country for the amount of funds that Illinois is able to give to disability services, and we're consistently in the top 5 in the country for number of individuals in state-run institutions, which many states have totally shut down.
Right.
And so the kind of all of these exciting expansions that we've talked about today, there's no increase in funding coming from the state, right? And so Arts of Life's mission and our ability to serve our artists and to expand into other parts of the region are really dependent on those donations. And so, as in the grand scheme of things, relatively small organization, each of your donations really has a significant impact on our artists, and on how many staff we can have, how many resources we have for our exhibitions, for our programming. And so the more donations we have, the more opportunity there is, and the less we're depending on the really kind of depleted government funding. So we really appreciate donations, and we love to engage with new and continuing donors.
All right. Well, with that, I want to say a big thank you to Joshua With and Tim Stone, and especially Tim, for sharing that beautiful artwork you're doing.
Thank you.
Really, keep up the great work.
I will.
And Community Shares, we'd love to hear all about any future shows you're doing too.
Okay.
Love to hear about all.
I will say, sorry about that.
No,
I will
ahead.
say in terms of upcoming events. So as Tim mentioned, he's on our curating committee. So at our Westtown location, we have about 7 art shows a year. So approximately every couple months, there's a show opening at our Chicago gallery, which is at 2010 West Carroll Avenue. So if you're interested in seeing more of our work, those are great opportunities. They usually open on a Friday. If you're out in the northern suburbs, you can check out our classes at the Evanston Art Center, at the Highland Park Art Center, or we also have, a studio in Glenview. We have a couple of exhibitions at our gallery there per year. And depending on when you're seeing this, once a year, usually in September. This year it'll be September 8th and 9th. We have a big studio sale. So at our Chicago location, we have work from all, over 60 of our artists, and it's at very heavily discounted prices. It's really, it's great artwork. It's not like it's just, we only have so much space to store our artwork. So I would recommend that, especially if you're interested in seeing more of our work. I've bought a lot of artwork at those sales, and so we're excited about that as well. So and our galleries also, if you can't make one of our openings, we're always happy to have folks visit other times. So reach out if you want to see more of our artwork.
All right, great. Well, yeah, I want to again thank you both for joining us today. I want to highly encourage anybody out there listening or viewing Arts of Life. It's a wonderful organization doing amazing work. And like you saw here, artists like Tim, fantastic job on all of their artwork. So I highly recommend going out there, donating, volunteering, anything you can do to help them out. And then we will see you here next time on the Community Shares of Illinois interview sessions.